Hi, friend. Ashley here. Welcome to the Unlock Your Dream podcast. I'm here to guide you along your journey to unlocking your dreams to achieve the best life that you can imagine possible. For my journey in medicine as a PA and then some in the corporate world, I always still desired a little bit more out of life. It wasn't until I met some people who had seen their dreams realized that it occurred to me that maybe, just maybe, mine could come true too. Come along with me as we get to know some of these friends of mine and hear their stories of unlocking their dreams. Good morning or afternoon or wherever you're listening to this, friend. Welcome back to the Unlock Your Dream podcast. Today we have a great friend of mine, Dr. Julia Driscoll. Again, shout out to the Work Cycle for always connecting people. We love some Work Cycle and Carter Fox. So you'll hear that as a theme on here. I feel like I've met a lot of amazing people there, and shout out if you're in town, come cycle with us. We love it. So to dive in a little bit on Julie's background, she has truly a passion and an admiration of natural sciences that really drew her into the field of dentistry, and she'll get to share her story with you guys. She went to the Medical University of South Carolina, and she was rewarded the Academy of General Dentistry Senior Student Dental Award, which is a mouthful, no pun intended, but truly for having the greatest knowledge and proficiency in general dentistry. She also served as the chief resident during advanced dentistry residency at UNC-Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels. She has a love of travel and service in dentistry. Obviously, we both share a love for medical mission trips, and she was able to use her fluency in Spanish to connect with patients there. And under the mentorship of Dr. Amanda Seay, she completed the Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry Residency program and is a fellow in the Academy of General Dentistry. So what an incredible background, Julie. We're so grateful to have you here. And I want to dive into just your practice eventually when we get through your story, but really just to dive into any part of your story you want to share and how you knew you wanted to go the dental route.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk with you. I love talking with you. It's always so fun. And yeah, the work cycle is just it's been a great way to connect with people in the community that you might not otherwise connect with. So that's always awesome. And you did great with that bio. That was a lot of lengthy. Yeah, the words get a little lengthy. But yeah, so I've been in Charleston like 13 and a half years, which is crazy. It's flown. Just since I went to college here and then dental school and then left for a little bit, came back. But this community has just always like really drawn me back. And I played with the idea of like moving elsewhere a few years ago just to do it because I've been here for so long. And as soon as I started looking at houses and stuff, like I was looking at like Costa Rica, California, wherever. And I would get like 3 or 4 texts a day from friends that like needed dental work. And I'm like, why would I leave this community like I've built and been a part of for just to get away? So yeah, it's exciting to start a practice here and finally be able to like give the type of dentistry I want to do towards the people I know and love and have been around for years. So that's kind of where I am right now.
That's awesome. And then all the way back to when you were deciding about going to MUSC for dental school, what do you think inspired you to go the dental route versus, I know like, so I went to MUSC for PA school. There's a lot of different routes through MUSC, but what about the dental program drew you there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love MUSC like so much. So I'm from North Carolina, so I applied to UNC, ECU, and kind of all over, like NYU, Maryland, all over. And I got accepted into all of them, which is cool. Not to be braggy, but like I chose MUSC over NYU, who's like a top dental school, UNC, who's like a top dental school. But like, there's no actual way to measure that. Like,
Mhm.
there's no way. So, a lot of the schools are really big into research and the science side of dentistry. And that's not what I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice like science-based dentistry, but I want to know how to treatment plan, how to, treat someone comprehensively, not just like go by the books. Um, and not to talk badly about other schools, but after we got out of MUSC, I went on a lot of mission trips with other students from other schools, and I did 2 residencies after. And the MUSC students in those residencies were like way above the rest. So that was really cool to see. Um, but the thing I liked about MUSC was like, again, community. Like the students got along with each other. They weren't cutthroat. it's hard enough. Like grad school is hard enough. You don't need your peers to be like against you, like not helping you study or whatever. And at MUSC, it was like the students, but also the faculty. Like the faculty was taking students to lunch. Like they were having people over for dinner. They were like office hours were whenever you could come in. And like I didn't see that at the other schools. And MUSC, like the people were happy. Like some of the other schools, the students look so miserable, and it's hard enough for 4 years. Like I want to be in a place where I'm happy while I'm studying my butt off. But yeah, that's why I chose MUSC, and I'm so glad I did. Like so glad.
Where did you do undergrad, and what was your major in undergrad?
College of Charleston.
Okay.
And I majored in Spanish actually. So like if you don't know, you can major in whatever you want if you're pre-med, pre-whatever, as long as you get those like pre-requirements, like organic chemistry, all the things. But I took like AP Spanish in high school and then just kept taking it. Obviously in college, I didn't want to stop. And then I got my minor and I'm only halfway through college. I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop now. And I studied abroad. I lived in Spain a few times. And then I realized I only needed a few more classes to get my major. And then it was cool too, because when you go to interview, like all the students are all like bio majors, chemistry majors, like all the same thing. But being a Spanish major, like they're like, oh, you have interests outside of science. Like that's cool. And then also like I can connect with this huge population that there's obviously like a deficit of dentists that speak Spanish fluently. So that opened up a lot of doors.
That's so cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think for people who are new grads or you're listening on here trying to figure out what maybe your next dream step is, that is really cool advice to hear. Just be willing to be different, and it's okay to pursue your interests and things work out like they work out. Like I was a journalism and mass comm major and then ended up going to PA school. So I think I agree. I had that same experience in my interview where it was cool that we were different. It just showed that are willing to be flexible and you have such a background. And so true about your mission trips, the trips I've been on in Nicaragua. I mean, for you not to need a translator, that you can just sit down with a patient and have a conversation, I'm sure it just breaks walls down. And, it's hard enough for those patients in other countries to probably sit down and trust you. But when you can immediately make that initial connection, that's incredible. That's so cool. Even in Charleston, I think more and more people that are bilingual or multilingual.
Yeah.
So to have that option for practice in Charleston is also pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I did.
anything that,
I'm like super
no, go
passionate
ahead.
about this, but my senior project at College of Charleston was like studying how I get super excited about this. Was studying how like patients respond to English speaking providers if English isn't their first language. And even if the English speaking provider thinks they're getting through to the patient, the amount of like errors and false information and hidden information and extra information is like crazy because the providers are like grasping at connection, but they're just throwing out these words that they know instead of like actually knowing what they're saying. And then the patient is going to nod or shake their head just to those quick words. Anyway, so if you don't speak Spanish or you're not like fluent in a language, it's best to get a translator or interpreter. But that's just my little spiel there.
Also very good to know. Yeah, I had a few patients when I practiced who I asked to bring a family member because we didn't have anyone when I was practicing in Orangeburg. But yeah, it's good to have someone with you because I agree, you're making that connection. It's awkward enough as it is, but that's really cool to hear actual research-based, evidence-based medicine that you're really not getting the whole picture. And that's scary when you're treating someone. So really cool
Yeah,
advice. That's awesome.
sure.
Anything that you learned along the way or networking or connections that you had to kind of help you get where you wanted to go, or you had to maybe put yourself out there to network, or just anybody who, I know your Dr. Amanda Seay, you said, has been pretty influential in your story, but anybody else along the way?
Yeah, and I mean, there's just so many individuals. So like as a whole, you just have to open up all the doors, right? Like
Mhm.
you meet people you might not think are going to play like a major role in your career or your life, but like you might learn something from them that you didn't expect, or it might circle back and like that might be a connection down the road. So like specifically, I mean, just in general, I think just connecting with different groups of people. Like I did the Alliance for Hispanic Health, and I was like in student government. I mean, like I'm overly involved, but those have opened up doors And I have this like cute, this funny, like metaphorical like image I always think about. Like you're in a circular room and you have all these doors around you. So I'm just like in a room with a bunch of doors. And like my only job is just to open all the doors. And I don't have to go through them, but I just have to like meet the person or do that event or learn more about that subject. And then like I'll get pulled through the door, like if it's the right place. And it's just I just think about it like that. Like I don't have to make these like drastic jumps, but just like making an introduction or like applying to that school you might not really know everything about yet, or going on a trip somewhere you don't speak the language, like just doing those little extra like comfort zone, pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. It pays off a lot later. And I don't really like have a comfort zone anymore. It's like it's nice. I don't really like have a lot of fear. I just can open those doors and go for it. So yeah, just getting out of your comfort zone, and then it's a practice. So like every time you do it, you get better at it. And yeah, so now I'm opening my own practice by myself because I'm just going for it.
Girl, that's incredible. Yeah, I love that. I think we've become this society that's so like here on our phone connected, and we're not really connected. But I love that you said that about just getting out of your comfort zone. I think that's such good advice about just putting yourself out there. Like what do you have to lose? I love that metaphor. I feel like for you guys who are listening, maybe pause and go re-listen to that and just like close your eyes and visualize it. I think that's so powerful. I love what you said too about like, you don't have to walk through them. Like just take those 10 seconds of courage to pull the door open and just see what's behind it. And you can hear that in your story where you have no fear, whether it's, looking to move to Costa Rica of all places, and certainly with your practice. It's incredible. So diving in actually to a little bit about your practice, tell us a little bit. I know we've talked a little bit about it, but hopefully by the end of 2024, Dr. Julie is going to have a practice downtown. And I really want to hear just how that came about. And like you said with your story, like you're just not afraid, you're going for it.
Yeah, and I mean it's scary. Like I don't want people to think that I'm like not afraid. Like I'm terrified, but I'm like, once you have to have a little faith, a lot of faith, and like know your purpose. And I think once I understood like what my purpose was and like what I want out of life, it became more clear. So I think that's important to understand like what your purpose is first, and then go for it. But yeah, I've had a few associateships, like 3 maybe in the last few years. And I think too, like, I wish I knew coming right out of school that associateships like aren't meant to last forever. It's a business relationship. And it's tricky because you think it's like a forever thing, but they're not made to last forever. And I wish I knew that from the beginning. Like most of my friends, we're having our 5-year reunion like this month. So we're 5 years out. And I don't know of like maybe 2 or 3 people in the whole class that are at their first associateship. So it's rough the first few years, and it's supposed to be you're learning so much. But then now I'm at this point, I'm like, all right, I've learned so much from all of these associateships and all this advanced training. I'm ready to start my own thing. And I learned I don't work well under somebody else. And I had to teach myself like, that's okay. That's okay. It's better to know that than to pretend like you can work for somebody else. Like I take up a lot of space, like mentally, physically, energetically. I need my own space. And I realized that, and it's going to be, I mean, it's a huge investment, like huge. I've made a lot of sacrifices, but it's going to be so worth it at the end of the day when it's like my little project, my little baby practice. So yeah, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see. I'm still negotiating the lease. It's like, I've learned so much like real estate and like business things. It's crazy. And I've already like had to jump some hurdles, but every time I do, it's like, whoa, I learned so much from that. Like, wow, that's so cool. I would have never learned that thing about trademarking a business name if I hadn't done this. So hopefully by the end of the year, hopefully I'll have the lease this month. I thought it was going to be in like February, but here we are in April. So yeah.
There's so much good in there too. Yeah, thanks for sharing that about the associateship. It's just good to have expectation, I think, when you're stepping out of school, and to know like what each thing that you're being a part of is for, and what the, like you said, what the purpose of it is. But I agree, they don't really train you in business. I'm assuming in dental school, like certainly we didn't get it. And I've talked to many doctors who just, you're going out on your own and you're learning as you go. But like you said, those sacrifices are worth it. And I think that's also good to hear for people too. Like, it may not be an overnight success. Nothing, in my opinion, really is. Everything usually has a backstory, whether we see it on pretty social media or not. But I love that you said, like, you've had to make sacrifices. It's not, a few $100 that you're dropping to start your practice, because you think about not only real estate, but for some people it's equipment, and it's hiring a staff. It's the whole thing. So that is really beautiful. I'm so excited for you. It's gonna be so fun. And I love that your background really for your practice is that you want to really focus on advocating for patient education and really looking at optimal treatment. And I'm including you here, but to improve both smiles and overall well-being, end quote. And I think it's really beautiful that you want to serve the community that way, because I think it's probably easy. My experience has been in medicine for people to become almost just like patient number, some codes that you build, and you move on. But really looking at your story, and I can already see your practice is going to be one where you really want to, like you said, create a legacy of satisfied patients and a reputation as a top-notch dental care. And you've proven that, I think, at all of your associateships. Have you had any surprise twists and turns along the way, getting to this point of like, okay, I'm going to own my own practice? I know you mentioned a little bit about your associateships and that kind of thing and their purpose in your story.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like laughing at how many, because it's been twists and turns the whole time, like when you get comfortable for 1 second, it's like something out of your control. I mean, in all transparency, and most people, my friends know this, but I don't really talk, like, Instagram, social media is so weird, because like mine is like, it's to educate patients and to market towards potential patients, and it's a creative outlet. So I'm not like on there saying every step, because I don't want people to get like tangled in the details. But I was fired in November, beginning of November. I was fired from my associateship. We were like butting heads, and it was for the best. But it was like I had 1 week to work, and then I was off. And like, it's really hard for like dentists, doctors. Like, I can't file for unemployment. I can't just pick up and get a job. It takes so long to like set up for an associateship. But so I was fired, and right before the holidays, with basically like, that was my last day of work, because they took all the patients off my schedule. That's just what they do. And it was like right before the holidays. I just bought this house like half a year ago. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So that was kind of, I took like a week or two to chill, go on a lot of walks, do some workout classes, take care of myself. And then I was all of a sudden like able to see so clearly that I needed to start my own practice. Because it was something I always knew I wanted to do, but I didn't have that like push, because it's so hard. But that was the kind of like kick in the butt, like, I can't work for somebody else again. Like, I need to do my own thing. And so that was kind of my push. I started business planning, coming up with all of that. And then what's crazy is like 2 or 3 weeks later, it was like right after Thanksgiving, I got a phone call that a dentist had passed away. He's in his 30s, Nathan Head. He had 4 kids and a wife, beautiful family, beautiful person. And he passed away, so they needed someone to fill in at the practice, just to take care of like his family and the staff and the patients. And I was available. So I just stepped right in. It's been like the hardest thing of my life. But we kind of like fumble through the days, because it's hard. Patients are like learning every day that he passed away, and we have to do that and then give them an injection and like drill on their tooth. So it's been crazy challenging. But I'm grateful they like accepted me with open arms. And it was just kind of a big 360 moment for me, where I was able to like help some people while I was like figuring out my path. And they know that I'm starting my own practice, which is really nice. I don't have to like hide that from them, and they're supportive of it, but they know like my helping them out is temporary. But that's been like the craziest twist and turn of the past year. But I'm grateful that I was available to help and make it a little more seamless of a transition for them. So that's been my last half a year.
Girl, that's that's crazy. But I love your positive attitude. I love that you're, in my opinion, like you mentioned faith earlier, but also just things work out like they're supposed to. And, it's in a bad situation, good things can come out of it. And so I love just your heart and your mindset for that. But you're right. Like, 2 good things for you out of that was maybe you wouldn't have had that like jump in the deep end push that you needed to be like, okay, let me wake up for a minute, because we're so busy, especially in medicine. It's like hard to get quiet. You're trying to see patients and you're trying to eat healthy and you're trying to work out, and like to just take the time to truly be quiet and focus on what's next for Julie. You probably don't get that opportunity without being forced off the deep end sometimes. And yeah, in the interim, you've been available to help these people, which is good, I think, on both sides, that it's temporary. So it's very realistic expectations. And I mean, what a gift to be able to serve those patients that like you were able to, that you wouldn't have had without that opportunity. That's really beautiful. Oh, I love that. I know you touched a little bit on your social media, kind of how you like to focus on really educating the public, like you educate your patients. Give us a little bit of insight into, for those of us who don't follow you, we can certainly tell you how to get to her to learn, but how do you, like, what's your mindset, I guess, in your social media?
Yeah. So first, it's like a fun creative outlet for me. So that's part of it, my entertainment. And then part of it is, or most of it, I try for it to be educational. I feel like dentistry, and I get this feedback all the time from patients and friends, like medicine, you can kind of research on your own if you're able to filter through what's real, what's not real, what's peer reviewed, what's not.
Mhm.
But dentistry, like if you're trying to look something up online or even ask your dentist, you don't always get a straightforward answer. And a lot of the answers you get are so outdated, like not, they're either outdated like 20 years ago because the insurance recommendations are so out of date. And then it's that, or it's like a purple toothpaste TikTok ad trying to sell you something cheap and quick. So it's like there's not really good information about dentistry out there. So I try to like do that myself and just push little pieces, tidbits of information that's true, scientifically based, all of that. Um, and then, of course, I love the cosmetic side of dentistry. So I try to give patients or the public on social media just like more education as like far as what the cosmetic options are. So then if they're ready to do it, I can either answer their messages or they're more they have more knowledge. So when they go to their dentist, they're more prepared and they know what questions to ask. So it's been really beneficial in that way. Like anytime I post something educational, I get so much feedback that people had no idea X, Y, and Z existed, and that's been just really rewarding in itself.
That's awesome. I love that too. It's just something I've been learning a lot lately. When you sow good seed and you're filling a need for people, and really, I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, Instagram is probably not what it used to be when we all got on it and we were just posting our cute little lunches in college, I guess. But, it truly is a place now you can truly do business. And I think, and you're feeling a gap and you're educating people and really helping people and sowing good seed, you're certainly going to reap that back. And people know it's genuine and you become someone they can build trust with. I feel like that's something else I've been learning lately is we've all, whether it's 2020 related or not, I feel like trust is harder to build and people just don't trust as easy now. So I think even building your practice, that's such a good space where you can become a real person and really build some trust and credibility with people that they feel comfortable reaching out and asking questions that maybe they wouldn't if it was a 20-second TikTok ad for something that was just a fly by the seat of your pants moment. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Anything else you want to share? I know you've shared so much about your story. I don't want to leave anything on the table. Obviously, I want to hear where people can find you, and we definitely want to stay up to date on your practice. And I'm sure you'll be taking new patients hopefully later this year. People in Charleston can look out for that as well.
Yeah. Um, I think we touched on everything. I
Awesome.
talked enough probably. But I right now my Instagram's Dr. Jules underscore, and um, that will eventually be transitioned into the practice name,
Okay.
which that's a funny twist and turn. I tried to start the practice name and nobody in this area is using this name. I've been here long enough. I Googled, I have the URL, I have the Instagram handle, I have all the things. No one's using it. And I went to create the LLC and someone owned it. So I've been back and forth with him. I had to get attorneys involved. Um, so it's like one thing after another. So I can't tell you the name of the practice yet, but I have
Sure.
it. I just legally don't have it yet. So right now it's Dr. Jules underscore on Instagram. And then there's a link in my bio, and this is the best way to just stay in touch. You can either do a virtual consultation, which we did, that's how we connected,
You did.
and
Absolutely.
just like a 15-minute Zoom call. You tell me what you have going on. I give you my feedback based off of what you have going on. And then that's a good way to connect. Or you can just fill out the form that gives your like email, phone number, information. That way, when I start the practice, I have your information. We can call you. So that's the best way to connect now. And then hopefully soon I'll have my name. I can tell everyone, but I'll let you know when I do.
That's so awesome. And then mostly just for people in Charleston, are you only really serving people with that through your Zoom, or do you do people outside of the Low Country area too?
Yeah, I do a lot of Zoom calls with people all over the place.
Okay.
Some people will end up coming to me as a patient, and some people will just take what I explain to them, and that way they can go to their dentist with a little more information. So that's for everybody.
That's incredible. Yeah, and I can speak to that. If you guys ever have questions, please feel free to reach out to me if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to Julie. But incredible hands-on experience that is just world-class and phenomenal, and I can't recommend her enough. So I'm so excited to see your practice open later this year, believing for it with you. But well, thank you so much for your time this morning here and for hopping on. And we just appreciate learning from you. Anybody that has questions about dental school or dentistry or all the things, please feel free to send this over to them. And I think it's been just well worth your time to take a play today on this episode. But thank you so much, Julie, for your time. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you soon cycling.
Yeah, see you soon. Thanks for having me.
Okay, friend, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Feel free to share this podcast with another friend who it may inspire. Leave a review to possibly be featured at the beginning of another episode, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the stories that can help unlock your dream for you.